Lots of game delays. My hopes and dreams are shattered. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, July 29th, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Let's talk about one of my favorite publishers. Annapurna Interactive had their second annual showcase, showing off a series of indie titles, which you know and love, and some of which you are looking forward to. There was a bunch of them. There was probably about 24 in the 25 or so minute showcase. I'm only going to talk about five of them or so that caught my eye, but let me know if you feel I forgot any of the good ones down below in the comments. The first one they talked about was called Thirsty Suitors, which originally didn't catch my eye, but they talked about, when they were talking about like kind of like gameplay and the tactics of the gameplay, you're interacting with your like 7 evil exes, which automatically triggered a Scott Pilgrim image in my mind. And yeah, you're going back home and you're playing this like action RPG and trying to like, you know, kind of interact with your exes, and at one point in the gameplay you like go into your ex's mind, and it's all kind of a little bit cerebral, and at the end of it all you're like friends with them now. So yeah, I just thought like it had a really cool vibe to the game. I really like the art style. I really like the Scott Pilgrim vibes. And the gameplay kind of looked really interesting to me. So I was really excited about this game. I think we had seen it at either one of the ID at Xboxes or something previously. So I had at least heard about this, but now that I've seen a little bit of gameplay, I'm a little bit more excited. So yeah, looking forward to that. Another game that caught my eye was called Bounty Star. It is a Western mech action RPG. You're like, I guess I would assume with a name like Bounty Star, you are a bounty hunter going out and collecting people, but you're like fighting in like this Met suit, and it's all like the Western theme. So very much up my alley. For those of you who don't know, anytime you have like Western mixed with like sci-fi, you've already kind of got my attention. And then as soon as you throw like undead or zombies in there, then you've got all my attention. But yeah, this whole like Western mech RPG really caught my eye, so I was looking forward to that. The devs of Outer Wilds Mobius got on, and they talked a little bit about how there still isn't a Switch port yet for the Outer Wilds, so we'll have to wait a little bit longer for that on Switch. But they did announce that it is coming to next gen, or I guess we're like 2 years into the cycle, so maybe it's current gen, but it's coming to the Xbox Series S and X as well as PS5. And that's happening this year, so somehow they could get next gen up and running quicker than they could get Switch. So don't know what that means. You can kind of intuit what you want from that, but yeah, excited to get more Outer Wilds. They were kind of touting the 60 FPS gameplay, so, and the higher resolution, although it is a stylized art style, so resolution might not be that big a deal. Moving right along, there was another game that really caught my eye. I've been really keeping track of kind of these like narrative games that I could sit down with a group of friends or my wife and play together. So one of the games that caught my eye was Forever Ago, and you're just kind of a road trip. You're just going on a road trip just to kind of see scenes and kind of have the story unfold in front of you. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to kind of sitting down with a group of friends and kind of getting a virtual road trip on with them. So yeah, that one, I really liked kind of hearing about that one. It's a small like 3-person team or something like that, so pretty cool to hear that too. And last but not least, they had a game called The Lost Wilds, and rather than like a dinosaur survival game, this was more of like a dinosaur horror game. It looked like that was kind of what caught my eye. Was like you're kind of sneaking around a horror, a dinosaur encampment, and just trying to survive, which but like not like craft a house and survive, but like survive from one enclosure to another. So I really liked kind of the horror vibe, something that a lot of people don't really think of a lot of, like the horror elements of like something like Jurassic Park was like very much had a lot of really good like horror elements along with the dinosaurs and stuff. So it was a pretty cool take on kind of dinosaur gaming that I thought looked really cool. Those are all the titles from the Annapurna. I'll have a link down to the 25-minute showcase below, but let me know if there's any you thought were cool and that I should have talked about down in the comments. Moving right along, the big release for the week is MultiVersus. I've talked about it a lot over the summer, but it is now in open beta. And one of the cool things was now that it is in an open beta and you can play it on any of the platforms that you want to play games on, there will be no progress resets. So all the gold and gleamium, I guess, is the premium currency. All of that you've earned will not be reset when the game eventually comes to like a 1.0 launch. So I still haven't played the game. I really should download and play it. I'm pretty sure I'll find time for it this weekend. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to MultiVersus, and glad that putting time in now will not be reverted in the future. So good stuff to know there. So yeah, there was a release date set for Honey, I Shrunk the Video Game. Obsidian's Grounded now has an official release date of September 27th. I played the beta of this a long time ago and really enjoyed the crap out of it, but I'm really looking forward to there was definitely a wall that you hit as far as progress in the beta, which of course there was. So I'm kind of glad that this is coming to full launch in September, and I'm gonna have to choose between playing a lot of really good horror games in October and making a grass built house with a lot of water droplets and fighting off bugs in the backyard, because everyone knows that all survival building games I just spend way too much time in, because I just like running around and collecting things and building up a base. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Grounded, and I guarantee I will have a dedicated server with a group of friends that'll be playing in late September and early October, so be sure to check that out. Like I said in the cold open, got two really big games that I was looking forward to that got delayed. They got announced to be delayed this week. The first one is Lord of the Rings Gollum. It's the background on my work computer, which is how excited for it I am. But it did get delayed. It was originally intended to come out in September, and the latest dev tweet didn't have, or notice didn't have a date to when it's been pushed to. So that kind of made me a little bit nervous. I bet it just means that it's out of this year. But I'm really looking forward to playing it when I can. So and now it's one less kind of game that I'll have to kind of puzzle into my Q4 gaming. So yeah, I'm gonna value my time in Q4. So I am looking forward to playing it when I can, but I won't be playing it probably this year by my estimates. So but looking forward to it when I can. Also, Warhammer's take on Left 4 Dead Darktide also got delayed. Another September title was originally slated for September 13th, is now plugged in on November 30th. So I'll still be able to play that this year. And December is usually pretty slow for video games. So looking forward to playing Darktide around that time. Really excited to kind of shoot some guns and play Left 4 Dead like with my friends. We kind of ate up playing Back 4 Blood. So really kind of looking forward to returning to that well and getting kind of a good play group together and playing through Darktide. Also, I love the 40k universe, so looking forward to experiencing some Imperial Guard. So looking forward to that. So read a pretty good think piece this week talking about how player counting is not the best thing for video games. It really goes into a lot of the details about like the different metrics that they use. They talk about kind of DAU and how they don't really report on that very much, so you don't know how, if as a publisher you are counting players, you don't really have a lot of benchmarks of what's good and what's bad for like your daily active users. They also talked about like number of accounts and how that's kind of a meaningless metric. A lot of the big like battle royales, they'll tout like 100 million users or something like that, and that is ultimately meaningless. Like there's a lot of duplication within accounts, and like that doesn't tell you how active a game it is. that just gives you like a really big, flashy number that doesn't really mean anything. As someone who works in data analytics within the game space, I can tell you a lot of these are vanity metrics, and so it was really cool to kind of read an article breaking down some of that information. It also talked about how communities can, like, if they're too transparent with like what their player counts are for platforms other than Steam, then like the communities can like use that against them and say it's a dead game, and like try and use that number to like demand things from the developers, which is never a good idea, demanding things from the developers. So yeah, I just thought it was a really cool article. I'll have a link down below in the description to it. Yeah, it's a really good read, and it really kind of talks about the good side and the bad side, and vanity metrics versus like the meaningful metrics, and whether or not transparency is good or bad within the gaming community. So yeah, I thought it was a really good idea, a really good read, and it really kind of hit home for me as someone who works in the industry, specifically on data metrics and evaluation. So really interesting article. So happy to tout that. Definitely worth a read for anybody interested in that side of gaming. I think the roof is on fire at MGM. They had some pretty big deal happen this week. They lost access to the Tomb Raider movie rights. So they will know, I think, if I read this correctly, like they had to land the deal and finish the deal, and like sign the deal by May. And that has obviously lapsed because that hasn't happened yet. And so MGM has now lost the rights to Tomb Raider. I don't know who it reverts back to. If it's, oh God, if it's like, who's the original owner of the Tomb Raider? Anyway, Eidos? Who's Eidos under? Anyway, so the Tomb Raider rights have reverted back to wherever they are, and now they're kind of floating in the ether. So someone, I assume, is going to pick up that movie. But another thing was that Alicia Vikander won't be part of it. So whoever you cast for this kind of Tomb Raider sequel, or if they're just going to reboot it or scrap it and make a different Tomb Raider movie entirely, whoever they're going to get to do that, it's not going to be the same actress that played Tomb Raider previously. So you'll have to deal with that as well. So yeah, I just assume that things didn't work out, and I am looking forward to another Tomb Raider movie. I really liked the previous one, so yeah, I'm sad to see that it won't get a sequel to that, and I won't get to see Alicia Vikander shooting people with bows on the big screen anytime soon, or at least not in Tomb Raider. She might be doing that in some other project, I don't know, but yeah, sorry to see that won't get a Tomb Raider sequel from MGM anytime soon. Moving right along, in a random and weird thing to wake up to, Oculus has just decided to increase the price on their VR headsets. You're still getting the same product, but they just increased it by $100. I don't know what that means for, like, I'm not exactly an economist. I just play one on TV, so I don't know how the supply and demand curve works when you push a price up. But yeah, I just thought it was really weird. I think they set a date for it. I don't remember what the date was, but to just wake up and yep, we're gonna increase the price of their headsets. I know that they're selling well. I constantly see kind of the sales reports and keep track of the numbers for Oculus, so I know it's selling well. So maybe that's the intention, is they want to get more revenue. I did also read this week that the metaverse is just a money pit, and it's just losing money constantly. So maybe this is an effort to take something that is selling well and sell less of it, because I know that will happen with supply and demand. You increase the price, and demand is going to decrease. So yeah, I just thought it was really weird. Big company making a pretty dumb decision. But maybe this increases their margins. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, is bloat their margins a little bit. Yeah, just kind of a weird thing to see something that's selling well. Let's make it sell less well. So good luck with that. I'm still looking forward to the PlayStation VR 2 whenever that comes out. So that'll probably be my VR rig of choice. Moving right along, Funko announced that they are going to be making a a pop video game, AAA video game, using some of the they have some of the some former Lego game developer devs to work on this new Funko Pop game. So excited to see that. I assume they have the assets because those things are all created and printed in 3D. You just use that same model and bring it into the game, like boom, voila, you've got at least that part of it figured out. The one problem that they'll probably run into is licensing. Funko license all of the IPs when they make their figures, so they'll have to pay for the licensing again, especially if they put it in a video game. So I assume licensing is going to be a nightmare on the Funko Pop game. But otherwise, I think that a AAA Funko Pop game. Didn't they have the Gears of War? Did Gears of War Pop ever come out? That happened. So they've at least proven success once before. But yeah. So a AAA Funko game that should be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Last but not least, saw a pretty cool D&D tabletop tactics game. I'm actually pretty surprised that I haven't heard of this before. This apparently was talked about maybe at the D&D Direct, but the trailer for the game talked about, and I'm surprised this hasn't happened already, you'll have like a series of D&D characters. Like you'll have tieflings and goblins, and you'll put them on like a standardized board, and then you'll just be squarely moving them, and it'll just be more of a tactics game, which D&D kind of already is for anybody who uses a battle mat and miniatures. Like it already kind of is a tactics game, but standardizing the rules and the characters and giving people factions and stuff to buy into and compete with. Yeah, I'm pretty surprised that this isn't already a thing. It seems like a pretty simple idea to take D&D and just standardize the rules for combat, make it a little bit simpler and quicker. So without all the narrative, if that's something you're not interested in. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's as someone who has played Warhammer and every other tabletop tactics game under the sun, I think I'll probably look into it and see what the rules are like and potentially buy into it as well, because I just kind of like picking up some dice and chucking them at competing factions from time to time when I don't want all that narrative of Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, that's all for this week. If you feel like I forgot anything, any big news, feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you do, please follow, like, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Twitch so you can see more great content like this. I'll have links down below in the description. Thanks again. I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye!